Welcome back to the course. This is lesson number 3, and in this lesson we're going to focus on learning the basic of events and learning how to handle keyboard and mouse events. In this first video we're going to go into the basics and then we're going to learn how to handle keyboard events. So I already opened up my project and this is where we left off. There are some additional comments because I added them because I uploaded the project to the Udemy course, so you can download it and open it up in your Visual C++ to see how it looks like. But it isn't much code, so you were probably able to write it yourself. This lesson is more or less going to cover just the events part of the game loop and some of logic part. We won't be doing any rendering, so all the events are just going to do print out to the console. I'm just going to go full screen with Visual C++ so we can view more code. You can do that by going into View and then clicking full screen, or just pressing Shift, Alt and Enter. So now we have a lot of code on the screen, and let's get right to it. So this is the part of the events we have already written. Let me just explain it again. So in order to handle events every frame, we have to have an object that holds all the events, and that's the SF event object. Now we don't want to create this object every time the game loops. So let's move this out of the loop and before it. So we only create the object once. Now to actually check the events, we have to have a while loop that goes through all the events that have happened that frame. Now you have to imagine that the events are stored in some kind of a queue or a line, and the function window.pullEvent takes the first event from that line so that we can check what type it is and what key it is. Every event has a type, like a key pressed or a key released or a mouse movement or something like that, and depending on what type it is, it also has a code. Like a keyboard event has a code, which button it is, and a mouse event has which button it was. So the loop repeats until it has taken out all the events from the line. And in the loop we can check for that single event that we're currently testing for. And in order to test keyboard events, there are two types, and that is a key pressed and a key released. So we have to write an if statement to check what type of an event it is. So we can do if event, so the event object is now the one event that window pull event has taken from the line. So we want to check what type this event is, the first one in the line. So we do event dot type, and now we have to compare it to a type, and all the types are stored in SF double comma capital event, again double comma, and then we have the event types, and we're searching for a key pressed. And if the event type is key pressed, let's do a printout to the console. So we do an std double colon c out left equivalent, and then what we're going to print to the console. So let's print just key has been pressed and a new line. Now if we run this, there's our console and the window. So I'm just going to move the console. So let's press the space key. and as we can see, it printed out key has been pressed. It's the same if you do enter or A key, left, up, down, right. Doesn't matter. Also, if we hold down a button, first going to input it only once, and then after a second it's just going to print it out again and again. But not every frame, it's actually every few frames. So let's close this window by closing the console. And let's make it more specific. Let's say we want to check if the A key has been pressed. So we can do an AND in the condition here. So if the event type is key pressed and the actual event key is A, then we want to print out key has been pressed. So in order to check what key it is, we do an event.key.code. So we compare the code of the event to predefined codes. And the codes are stored in SF, double colon, keyboard, double colon again, and then the name of the key. So let's do the A key. So if you run this again and press the space, enter, or any button, nothing prints. But when we press the A key, it prints out to the console. Now let's do a key released event. So we have another if, event.type. So first we check the event type, and now we want to check if the event type is key released. So we do an SF capital event key released, and we want to be more specific, and we only want to check when the A key has been released. So we do an event.key.code is equal to SF keyboard A. And when this happens, we want to print out the A key has been released. And let's modify the pressed printout. So let's say the A key has been pressed. Now we have an event when the A key is pressed down and an event when the A key is released. So let's run this. Now when we press the A key down, we get, sorry, you have to be in the window in order to handle events. So we press down A and it says the A key has been released. And when I release the A key, it says the A key has been released. I'm sorry, the first one was pressed and then the released. Now this works really well. Now let's just add another event, which is not a keyboard event, but it's the window event. And the window event I'm talking about is when we press the big red X. So we want to close the program or the application. So we have to do an if event type, and this event has a special type, and it is SF double colon event double colon and close it. We don't have to do any additional conditions here, because when we press the X button, the event type is SF event closed and nothing else. And once that happens, we want to stop the main game loop. And in order to stop the game loop, we have to set play, the variable, to false. So we simply do play is equal to false. And that's going to stop our loop, go down here and close the window, and then close the program. So let's run this. And now we can do events like pressing the key, and then when we press the X, the application stops. We could stop the application on any key. So we could do an event type key pressed and the key code to the escape key on the keyboard, and we could do the same by setting play to false. Now this is the basic of events. In the next video we're going to handle how to separate events from logic. Thanks for listening.